County Commissioners on February 8th. If all could please stand and assist with the pledge, and then a moment of silence afterwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Top of the announcements are that we're announcing that our meeting will be recorded, and that we have had one executive session since the last meeting, using various legal issues, which would include personnel. There was one item of correspondence received to be noted. We were granted the Wilds Are Working initiative. And maybe, Phil Gilbert, could you just share a little bit of maybe 20,000 foot level, what that means?
I'll do my best. So the PA Wilds has a program for remote workers. So they basically have this program set up. It did it in Kane recently. I think it was last year. Right? It was last year in Kane, and they brought in some remote workers. Program, I believe, supplied the housing, supplied gift cards for the area for local businesses and such. And basically what they're trying to do is, I guess, put a spotlight on these areas around here that, you know, remote workers can still do their job, but live in a nice area. So I applied for the program, and then so we have a bulk co-working space and such. We applied for the program, we were awarded. And now we're going to go through that process. So we're going to meet. They're going to, I guess they pick the people, and then we vet them and figure out all that, and then figure out the housing portion, gift cards for local businesses, and get that whole program set up. So it's pretty exciting, and can't wait to jump in and get started on that.
It is exciting.
Yep.
Now we have the working space.
Yes, so they'll be working out that
and
space.
Some new people coming into the community, remote working. I'm excited.
Yep.
I think that's great. All right. Other than that, no other announcements. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. Do we have any public comments? Okay.
Do I need to stand up or?
If you wouldn't mind standing up and just saying your name and where you're located.
I have a personal issue. Is that what you want, or there's nothing on the agenda?
Yeah, anything that's not on the agenda.
Okay. My name's Joey. I live up by Chapman Dam. Excuse me. And I had an issue with a neighbor with animals and junk, garbage, you name it. It's there. I can't remember your name.
Jeff.
We spoke probably 6 months ago, and nobody contacted me back. Mr. Lyons, Dave, he said the issue was closed, and I don't think I ever got a letter why it was closed. Part of the explanation I got was that the property is being overrun by farm equipment and animals. There are approximately 50 goats. I'm between two properties. There are probably 50 goats, ducks, guineas, turkeys, chickens, and geese beside my house. That's an issue I have to deal with Pleasant Township, the county, and yeah, 3 of them actually, the state, because I have the manure piles that are leaching into the ground close to my home. And the issue with the county is they said, like I said, Dave said it was closed, but I don't believe it is, and I would like it addressed because the animals are still living too close to my home. I got an explanation that because of the size of this property, he can have 1 million animals, as long as the animals are housed far enough away from each property line, which I believe is 150 feet, and he lives on, I believe, 2.5 acres, and the animals are still I think Dave got a phone call is all he got. I don't believe that he went to the property to inspect if the animals were dealt with. They moved the chicken coop to another part of another guy's property, but the animals didn't go with it. Now they're in a barn where they're not legally allowed to keep them because of the closeness of the proximity to my home and my property line. I believe it's 53 feet and it needs to be 150. But nobody has addressed that because they haven't come to follow up to actually see if the animals have been taken care of. And I would really like to, it's being overrun. The other property, these are two different men that own property beside me. I actually have to drive on their property to get to my property. I have a deeded right of way, which means I have to drive across their property. They've piled garbage up, and I believe it's garbage. Dave said it was reasonable that it's not garbage. It is garbage. I don't know what reasonable in his mind is, but I believe that anybody sitting here would believe that it's garbage. The equipment, the farm equipment, I believe if I lived in, apparently if I lived in this city and I owned a farm, I apparently could bring my equipment and leave it here in the city as long as it's farm equipment and I farm. I don't know how that works, but that's, to me, that would personally, if I was Dave, that would probably be reasonable. And I don't believe it is. It's being overrun. I have pictures, I have video. I feel like the crazy neighbor because I have to record all this crap. I have, I believe, 1,500 pictures on my phone, and probably half of them are the piling up with the garbage. The issue is, it is reasonable. I believe it is reasonable to have farm equipment on farm, quote unquote, if it's being used for that farm. He's got hay balers, hay rakes, and not 1 inch of his property is hay fields. Nothing. He lives on the side of a hill that's about a 10% incline. They don't bale hay. They don't spread manure. He's got manure spreaders, hay balers, hay rakes, corn. I don't know what that machine is called. It cuts it off and shoots it into a drum. They have that, and none of this equipment is being used on it. None of that equipment is being used. None of that equipment is being used for farming a property. So I would really love to have it addressed. Someone from the county, not just Dave, needs to come. I know Dave can't go on private property unless he's asked to come there by the landowner. He's come to my house and he has to drive through it. But I believe there has to be some law involved where they go and see these animals. I know you can't take my word for it that I'm saying these things, so I think somebody needs to come to the property and see the animals that are still being housed too close to my property. I don't know if you folks know what goats smell like, but it's not pleasant when luckily the prevailing wind is usually away from my home, but sometimes in a storm it's quite the aroma, and there's, like I said, there's about 50 of them at any given time. You know how they have babies all the time, so I would really love to have those addressed. I don't know if somebody wants to see the pictures and videos that I have.
So after you had come to the meeting the last time, I went down to the planning and zoning department and talked with Mike and went through the case extensively to discuss the situation with them. He had been out to that property multiple times. There have been citations to your neighbor. There have been a number of different things that he did to remediate the issue. If the case was closed, it was because anything else was beyond the scope of zoning, because everything had been taken care of. At the time, I think I had a conversation with him about just taking a look at it again. We can go downstairs and have him look at it again. Obviously, if there's a zoning violation, he'd be more than happy to address that. You
Right.
know, on the flip side, you're in a unique situation because of your right of way, and from my understanding, there are multiple issues with all of the surrounding properties, and everybody's kind of unhappy with the situation. So
Okay.
I don't think it's a problem at all to go down and talk to Mike about it, and then have him go and do another review of the situation, especially if you have any evidence that there's a current infraction. I'm sure that he'd be willing to go and take a look at it again.
I have, to me, it's pretty simple. Like I said, I don't think you can take my word for it. I could blow smoke anywhere. It's pretty easy to come to my house at about 8:45, because just about on the dot every morning at 9 o'clock he lets the animals out of the property or the building, excuse me, the building that they're not supposed to be in. You can sit there and watch them open up the gate. I know there's been explanation about the chickens where all the coop was open and they just went in. I don't know if you know about chickens, but they don't go in on their own unless they're being coaxed into their keep or roost, whatever you call it. And like I said, I completely understand some of the zoning things. Like one issue is the barn. There's a giant, well, there used to be a barn on Gene Hetrich's property, which is right beside the road, which is now, I don't know if it's the actual term of grandfathered in because it was already existing. He's got some poles in the ground now, but it's been like that for, I've lived here now in Warren for 9 years, going on 9 years, and it hasn't changed. And I mean, I don't understand that law. I haven't delved into it that much. But one of the other things was issued with, Dave was talking about the barn that, well, technically it was a carport that Gene Hetrich had put on the property as a barn. And I do believe the footprint for the original barn is nowhere close to where he put that structure now. So I can understand if he moves it, which isn't going to hurt my feelings any, but that's the thing with Mike and I don't have a personal issue with Mike. I just would like him to follow up and, do his job.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's been out there
Yeah.
multiple times, and the impression that I got from looking through the files is that the neighbors probably have their own legal issues that they need to deal with, aside from this kind of notion of zoning. Mike can't be there every single day to
I know.
watch the property and do a
Right.
stakeout, so, you know, but we can follow up with him and have him go out and do another
Okay.
investigation of it.
What would it take to be on the property to see the animals that are still in that barn?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak to the
No, I know.
details of the situation, because even in the discussion that I had with him, I mean, the zoning regulations are very clear.
Right.
Like, so if there was a clear violation, then we would cite the person for it. If I know you might believe that the barn's not appropriate, and if it isn't according to the zoning regulations, then the person will be cited. Like, there's no leeway for that, one way or the other.
Right,
So
right.
that's something that we would take a look at, and if there's a violation, then it'll be cited.
Okay.
So you're gonna then follow up after the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. Go talk
Okay.
to Mike about it, and,
Yeah.
and
You will?
yeah,
Okay.
Okay. Very good.
I get it
Appreciate it.
downstairs
Thank you.
anyway. So.
Thanks. Very good. Okay, and then we'll move on to the consent agenda. And you'll see there the minutes of the January 25th, 2013 meeting. Oops, how about 2023? If anybody has any changes, corrections, I see them. Very good. Finance report is next. That was a separate report. Lisa, can you just give a synopsis of the finance report, please?
Sure thing. In all our bank accounts, we have $3,017,553. We have borrowed $100,000 from the $1 million from American Rescue Funds. I've also laid out what's in those other checking accounts. Also, the auditor's going on Friday to do a questionnaire for our final 2021 audit, and we've already begun gathering the 2022 stuff, so we can start in April this year.
That sounds great. Let's keep that on track.
Yep.
All right. Next on the agenda is the HR report.
Human Resources Report as of February 1st, 2023. New hires for the county include Benjamin Faulkner, effective 1/23/23, in the intake department as a caseworker 2, and Brittany Wakely, effective 1/30/23, in the ID department as a caseworker 2. And changes include Jesse Boringer, effective 1/9/23, who went from a part-time to a full-time corrections officer at the jail. And separations include Daniel Kohler, effective 1/6/23, who was a supervisor in the Children and Youth Department, and he is not pension eligible. And Andrea Bornstein, effective 1/9/23, who was a telecommunicator in the Public Safety Department, and she is not pension eligible.
Very good.
Could I make a suggestion that going forward, we don't have the HR report read at the meeting, just because it's kind of tedious and there's no point to it?
Sure.
Not that you do a marvelous reading, I really enjoyed that, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Should remain in the packet though.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, and then you'll see the monthly department reports, just a couple comments here. Warren County Tax Claim Bureau. Their receipts in December were 100, of 2022 were 100, and in December of 2023 were 122. So up a little bit, so this is always good news.
Presumably those are the previous years. December 2023 hasn't happened yet.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yes.
That's what you were thinking.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong. I was off by 1 year. And then we have Warren County Public Safety. It looks like we are now at 8 of 12 approved positions, and part-time staff is 7 part-time positions. And EMA actually was deployed at one point during the month to York Hill Road for a gas well fire. We currently have 25,527 registered voters as of the end of January. It's good news as well. That's it for department reports. Moving on, there are 3 proclamations to review. One is Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month, the second is American Red Cross Month, and third, Gambling Awareness Month. Commissioner Eggleston, would you take the, review the Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month with people here?
Yep, the Commissioners of Warren County are proud to commemorate March 2023 as Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month in Warren County. This designation will formalize and expand upon the designation 35 years ago on March 1986 as Hemophilia Awareness Month by President Ronald Reagan. The Federal Department of Health and Human Services designated March as National Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month. And so this is an annual designation that we make, and I think it's a good one because there are quite a few people that are affected by this in the country.
Okay. And the next one would be American Red Cross Month. Commissioner Caffrey, could you speak to that?
The American Red Cross is a great partner of Warren County. They're deployed when we have a variety of disasters within the county, particularly very helpful related to the tornado a few years ago. We dedicate a month every year to acknowledge their contributions. There's 700 chapters across the country. Of course, we have a local one. And out of appreciation, we'd like to declare March 2023 as American Red Cross Month in Warren County, and we urge all citizens to continue to give your time, blood, and money to make a difference in the humanitarian fabric of this community.
And lastly, March is National Problem Gambling Awareness Month, in which Warren County is pleased to join Forest Warren Department of Human Services and Beacon Light Behavioral Health Systems Prevention Services in promoting this throughout the county. It has everything to do with individuals. The problem of gambling in the community is an opportunity to educate the public and policymakers about social and financial effectiveness of services available for problem gambling. This affects millions of Americans of all ages, races, and ethnic backgrounds in all communities. We believe that gambling is treatable and treatment is effective in minimizing the harm to both individuals and society as a whole. So we, the County Commissioners, proclaim the month of March 2023 as National Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Warren County. Okay, if there's nothing else for the consent agenda, could I get a motion to approve the items on it?
So moved.
And second, okay. Discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, I do not see anything on old business, so we'll move on to new business. First item being appointments to the Conservation District Board of Directors. We have a letter in front of us asking for Mike Donahue as Farmer Director of December 30, his term will expire December 31st, 2026. Brian Zeibel, Public Director, term will end December 31st, 2025. And then Ben Cafferlin, Commissioner, term will end December 31st, 2023. Those are our nominations. Do I have a motion to approve those nominations to the warrant?
So moved.
I'll second.
Right. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. All right, next one is Resolution 3241, which is a resolution to adopt various government management system standard operating policies and procedures. And there are two there. The first is associated with vehicle maintenance for those who are county-owned vehicles. And the second is mental health evaluations for law enforcement personnel. Any further description or discussion for those individuals who propose them?
Vehicle maintenance, Pam, if you wanted to say something about it. No, but it's pretty straightforward. I guess the change though is that we have been having Enterprise doing a lot of the oversight, I guess, of vehicle maintenance, and now we're shifting that kind of back in-house. We wanted to set some parameters. The other is Act 57 of 2020 had specific provisions and had a drop-dead date as to when we had to have a policy done related to it. Act 59 was similar, and the purpose of that was to ensure that law enforcement have mental health evaluations in certain situations, such as critical incidents and such. And that act didn't have a specific deadline as when we needed a policy in place, and so it kind of got dropped. And I just ran across it again when I was looking through old emails and realized that we didn't ever pass that. So, well, a couple of years, I guess, late, but thanks, Pam, for drafting these up and getting them on the agenda.
Very good. All right, so can I have a motion
So I move the resolution.
All right, second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those signify favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. So moving on to two repository tax bids here. Their first is tax parcel TD-003-028830. It is a vacant lot. The bidder on it is Justin and Emily Bauer, and the bid amount is $250.
I'd make a motion to adopt both repository property tax bids for tax parcel TD 003-3288-3000 and WN 57418730000.
The second one was to Justin and Emily Bauer as well for $250. So we have a motion, second. Any discussion? All those signify in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we have here in front of us two Ford Explorers, which were put out on an online auction. The sold amounts were $4,650 for the 2014 and $4,050 for the 2013, a total of $8,700. Any other comments? All right.
Sell.
All right.
I'd second.
All right. All those, any discussion?
No, I'd just like to thank Pam for facilitating this, and I thought that the whole thing went very well,
Yes.
especially considering the number of bids that we got, so.
Thank you, Pam. All right, we have a motion to approve those.
committee.
And second, and on discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then lastly, resolution 3242, which was the liquid fuels applications. We met earlier to talk about how to allocate those funds based on estimates of what we expect to see liquid fuels revenues being passed on to the county for, and this would be for $130,000 for 2023. I have a motion to approve that particular allocation.
So moved.
Second?
Second, I would just clarify that it's 131, 67.
Oh, thank you. I see that he has his bridge inspection separately.
Yep.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Are there any commissioner comments? No?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
there you have it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Later.